And from the Montgomery Advertiser, August 29th, 1907, starts the saga of the military at Oxford Lake. And this is going to come as probably news to people around here because they probably didn't know about this. I sure didn't. The article goes on to say, Oxford Lake Park wants 3rd Regiment. Well, who the heck is the 3rd Regiment? Once again, the writer assumes that everybody knows who the 3rd Regiment is. Okay, it doesn't say. I think we'll find out a little later a little more about it. But it says, at any rate, a movement has been inaugurated to secure the next annual encampment of the 3rd Regiment, Alabama National Guard, at Oxford Lake Park. And the prospects, it is said, is heartily endorsed by every officer of the regiment, from colonel to corporal. There can be no doubt that Oxford Lake Park would furnish the finest drill ground and camp that can be found in the state, with every convenience readily accessible. I have no idea what the heck they're talking about. I know how that place used to look before it was improved, and I just can't imagine. I really am not sure what they're talking about. So we'll come back to them. From the Age-Herald, Wednesday, September the 4th, 1907, we see that the farmers of 2 counties, Calhoun and Talladega County — Talladega is just south of Calhoun County, and Calhoun County just happens to be where Oxford is located in the southern portion. The farmers are interested in scientific agriculture, and they are in convention at Oxford Lake today, the occasion being a big institute and barbecue under the auspices of I.S. Ingram, special agent in this city. And it says several talks will be made. Also says a rural carriers meet and announce a program of rural letter carriers for Labor Day was fully carried out at Oxford Lake Park yesterday without hindrance or omission. Major D. Houston Smith presided, introduced the speakers of the public exercise, and so on and so forth. But back to the farmers of the 2 counties. And they are interested in scientific farming. Just so happens that several years ago, while looking at history stuff, right about the same time period, I ran across something very interesting that these guys may have been talking about. I don't know. And that is farming with explosives. Yeah. Explosives. Let me show you a picture. At any rate, you can see that they were pushing the idea that you could sort of blow up your garden, and that way you could till it up. And that's scientific farming back in the day. I thought that was pretty neat. Actually, that'd have been a lot of fun. A little dangerous, but what the heck. That's scientific farming for you in 1907. We're talking the Age-Herald, Friday, July the 1st. The Age-Herald, Friday, July 31st, 1908. And, what in the world is this? 50 carcasses are barbecued, and at monster dinner are garnished with chicken pies and cakes galore. But that's not why we're here. We're here because, oh my goodness, L.H. Kaplan and others to furnish grand outing at Oxford Lake today. J.V. Blackwell is appointed major. Anniston is building one of the finest wagon yards in the whole state, commodious, shady, comfortable wagon yard. Its location will be on the west side of Noble Street and covering the entire block between 7th and 8th Streets. Active work of putting the grounds and buildings in shape are in progress under the direction of L.H. Kaplan, and that means that it will be done right. But the thing of it is, a picnic will be given the operatives and families of the Woodstock, Adelaide, and Cordage cotton mills tomorrow at Oxford Lake Park by L.H. Kaplan. It's a busy fella. And that gentleman assuming the entire expense of transportation, refreshments, and amusements for the day's enjoyment. Mr. Kaplan will be aided in the management of the crowd by Superintendent H.O. Davidson of Woodstock, C.L. Sweets, the Mrs. Tabb of the Anniston Cordage Mill, W.A. Robinson of the Adelaide, Frank Farley, and Ben Held merchants. These will be assisted by ladies who have volunteered their services to make the affair a success. The crowd, now here, Oxford Lake Line, remember, the crowd will be handled by special cars leaving 10th and Noble Streets between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. Tickets for the trip will be given out between 8 and 9 o'clock in front of the offices of Anniston Electric and Gas Company. A flat car will also go down with other specials to carry baskets of goodies. When's the last time your company sprung for you a all-day frolic like that? When? When's the last time? Crazy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and you are ladies and gentlemen, this is the other piece that I was really dreading to show you, okay? This is from the Age-Herald, Thursday, April the 2nd, 1908. And that's a small blurb I found down here at the bottom of this thing, and I'll read it to you verbatim. And it's tragic. I can't imagine. This is the sort of rowdy dow that I can't imagine, and I know you can't either. It says, students play hooky. Presbyterian college boys go fishing at Oxford Lake. Anniston, April 1st. It's a special to the Herald newspaper, whatever the name of this thing is. 36 students of the Alabama Presbyterian College in this city played hooky today and went fishing to Oxford Lake. It is probable that they will be severely disciplined as the result of a faculty meeting to be held tomorrow. What I found on Wikipedia, as you can see, is it says the Alabama Presbyterian College was a college in Anniston, Alabama, affiliated with the Presbyterian Church. It was founded in 1905, opened in 1906, and continued until 1918 when it became a prep school. It was renamed the Alabama University School in 1922. But anyway, the school was taken over by the Alabama Military Institute, which again, I know zero about any of this stuff. Maybe we got some Presbyterians around that can, fill us in on what they know about it. But the rest of the stuff, I've never heard of this before. You never know what you're going to learn when you study history. By the way, it says the college was an 11-acre parcel of land at 8th Street and Layton Avenue, which now is part of the hospital in town. Interesting. Following down that muddy path, we come to the Age-Herald, Friday, April the 30th, 1909. And what should we find? 3rd Regiment probably is going to camp at Oxford Lake. Anniston, Alabama, April 29th. The 3rd Regiment, Alabama National Guard, will more than likely encamp at Oxford Lake Park this summer. Last year, the regiment attended maneuvers at Chickamauga, but this year Uncle Sam has not provided for such maneuvers, and therefore the encampment will be held in the state. The 3rd Regiment encamped at Oxford Lake 12 or 15 years ago, and with some preparation, the camp site could be made an ideal one. It is earnestly hoped that Colonel McElroy will use his influence to secure Oxford Lake. So the saga continues of the military at Oxford Lake, which modern people here, I'm sure, cannot wrap their head around. But I found something else, okay? I found something else here. Right above that, at the top of the newspaper here, it says Wellborn favors bonds for roads. Now, outside of the area wouldn't mean much, but Wellborn is a well-known area in the county. So, are they talking about the Wellborn area? No, they're talking about Wellborn the guy. M.B. Wellborn, president of the First National Bank. Was Wellborn named after M.B. Wellborn? I don't know. But he's in favor of a $300,000 bond issue to build roads. And the roads that they talk about on here, I'm not going to go over them, but you can look. You want to pause this. All these roads here are well known, and I presume they must have been pig paths at the time and they were going to improve them. So if you live on any of these roads or you travel them, this is where they got started. And I have another road story a little later. It's more fascinating to me in my area because, if, for example, it says Piedmont to Rabbit Town. Well, that's on the other end of the county from me, but I have one on this end of the county, and we'll get to that presently. But that's interesting. This is something I found just, looking for Oxford Lake stuff. local roads. Oh boy, this article from 1909 in the Age-Herald comes on July the 18th, but although it says July the 17th here, it says Camp Mitchell, 3rd Infantry is now stationed at Oxford Lake Park. The first general order during the annual encampment of the 3rd Infantry, Alabama National Guard, was issued by Colonel McElroy this morning, naming the camp in honor of Colonel Reuben A. Mitchell of Gadsden, ordnance of the staff of Governor Comer, in recognition of his services in building up the 3rd Regiment, as well as his prominence and unceasing efforts in furthering the industrial development of Alabama. I think we read earlier that the regiment had kind of fallen down. It didn't have but a few people. Evidently, he must have done a good job at it. It was the 3rd Regiment arrived in the city a little bit late this afternoon, disembarking at the Union Station, where they took electric cars. That would be the Oxford Lake line, and that would be from 4th Street in Anniston, probably, down to Oxford Lake Park. And it said where camp life would now be underway. The flag is hoisted on a large natural pole. I have no idea what the natural pole was. 80 feet high, being discernible for a long distance. The site is of great beauty, commanding a view of one of the prettiest bodies of water in the state, as well as a matchless mountain views. And this is true. From there you can see Cheehaw 12 miles away. Mount Cheehaw, the highest point in Alabama. Well, I had a chaplain that will preach at the First Presbyterian Church tomorrow morning. In the afternoon, he will conduct a service for the soldiers in the Park Theater. Not sure what the Park Theater was. This was before my time. At 4 o'clock, although I understand that there was an opera house there, they called it. Probably what they were calling it. A feature of the service being the music by the Camp Quartet. An idyllic life for the military at Oxford Lake, and nobody in Oxford even knows about it, probably, unless there's some Alabama National Guard people who have a clue. I don't, never heard of it. This is news, big news. On we go. I was looking forward to that one. I don't know about you, but I'm a little giddy after that last article. How about you? Well, we hop on up to August 3rd, 1910, and we got more camp news. Selma Troop off for encampment. Troop C leaves for Oxford Lake this morning. Battery to be reorganized. Health conditions good. Selma, Troop C of the Alabama National Guard, under the command of Captain D.M. Scott, Jr., will leave Selma tomorrow morning for Oxford Lake near Anniston, where the troop will go in camp for the next 10 days. Captain Scott will take to the camp with him about 50 men. The Camden troop will also reach Selma tomorrow morning from Camden with about 50 men, and will go to Anniston on the same train with the Selma troop. The Selma troop is in good condition and promises to make a fine record during the encampment. The troop has been drilling hard for several weeks past and will be one of the best drilled troops at the encampment. So Oxford Lake seemed to be a popular place to come camp, but I'm just wondering, while these guys are camping out at the lake, what about the local people who want to go to the lake for a little walk around, stroll, whatever, swim? Well, what about them? These Army boys taking the whole place up? I don't get it. I don't get it. But everything passes in time, as we shall see coming up. The Age-Herald, Friday, June 21st, 1912. And I tell you what, we're running out of stuff here, so pay attention. Let's go down here and see what's happening then. Oh, check this out. At Oxford Lake. Wholesale Grocers Picnic Saturday. Wow. Train leaves the station at 7:30 o'clock for Oxford Lake. The Birmingham Wholesale Grocers Association. Remember I told you Oxford Lake was popular around the southeast. Everybody came to Oxford Lake. The Birmingham Wholesale Grocers Association will give their annual barbecue and picnic to the employees Saturday at Oxford Lake. The train for the lake will leave the terminal station at 7:30 o'clock Saturday morning. That means 7:30, not 8. The following places of business will close for the day. B.F. Roden Grocery, the Alabama Grocery Company, G.W. Hobson & Son, Tyler Grocery, and on and on. You probably buy if you own a grocery store, you probably buy your groceries from some of these people. I don't know, the Hood Grocery Company, Collins and Company. These guys knew how to treat their employees. Not trying to stir up any trouble, but just saying. The Age-Herald, Tuesday, August the 20th, 1912. What is going on in 1912? Thousands going to Oxford Lake. Pythians and farmers convened there this week. What the heck is a Pythian? Well, it's the Knights of Pythias. And you can go look it up. I did. Mayor, oh, by the way, the mayor and councilman will be chosen at Oxford. That's right after that piece there. It says, with the 11th annual semi-annual conference of the 1st District Association of the Knights of Pythias in session at Oxford Lake Wednesday, August the 21st, and the Farmers Union meeting at Oxford Lake the same and following day in the vicinity of Oxford, promises to be the gathering place for thousands. Now, Oxford wasn't all that big back in the day, okay? So you got thousands of people. It's a pretty big deal. I have no idea where they stayed. It ain't like they had hotels for everybody. If you had thousands here today, they wouldn't have anywhere to stay, okay? We got lots of hotels. Oh, and by the way, the Oxford election, September the 6th. An election will be held in Oxford for the purposes of electing a mayor and councilman, but so far, little interest has been shown in the coming event. The present administration has instituted the paving and sewage improvements. Oxford has always, in my lifetime until recently, before an election, the town councils always did some paving around here. It just goes with it. And sewage improvements recently completed and now in the course of completion and will probably run for various offices. Let me go back up here. Again, these people are going to run without opposition. So it was a real sleeper, okay? Real sleeper. The town council's no opposition, and they pave the streets and everybody's happy. So, at any rate, but thousands going to Oxford Lake. The Pythians. Wow. What happened here? This next story is particularly interesting to me because it's about something I've never heard of before. And I may be the only one in the whole area that's never heard of this, but somehow I doubt it. And it says, this is from the Montgomery Advertiser on August the 9th, 1912. Regulars will march to Fort McPherson, Georgia. It says, the lake's involved in this because they're going to stop there at the lake for a minute on the way. But these guys are going to march from Camp Pettus to Fort McPherson. It says the command will break. It says that they will, as a body, the last body of regular troops will leave Camp Pettus tomorrow for their station at Fort McPherson near Atlanta. And it says the command will break camp at 1:30 p.m. on Friday, and for the first stage will march to Oxford Lake, which the battalion will camp for the night. And from there, they're going to keep on marching. That's a long way over there, okay? And it gives a schedule on down here about where they're going to be. But the thing of it is this Camp Pettus. So I went to look up Camp Pettus. As a matter of fact, I wore the net out looking for Camp Pettus. And the only thing I found was the picture I'm about to show you of Camp Pettus. I'm thinking, I've never heard of Camp Pettus. There was a Camp Ship, and a camp which turned into Camp McClellan, which turned into Fort McClellan. This I know, but Camp Pettus, this is unknown to me. This picture is all there is, and it sort of says it's up in Anniston somewhere on but that's all there is about it. So if you know anything about Camp Pettus, I wish you would write and let me know. In other words, put a comment down there. Let everybody know about it, not just me. Camp Pettus, that's a crazy thing. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty interesting to me. It's from the Montgomery Advertiser, February 26, 1915. And that was just about the time I think my father was born in January, I can't remember, or February of 1915. And that was 5 years at least before my grandfather took over as a custodian of Oxford Lake. But the article goes on to say Oxford Lake Park will largely be improved. A. Alex Wall, you remember we talking a while ago about this Kaplan dude, right? You know, he was making some improvements here and there, this, that, and the other, but this says, A. Alex Wall of Birmingham, president of the Wall Amusement Company, has been spending several days in Anniston in consultation with W.C. Freeman, manager of Oxford Lake and Hobson City Parks. It means he's been spending time in Oxford, not Anniston, probably. This company will spend $50,000. $50,000. Within the next 3 months, and Oxford Lake Park will be one of the most up-to-date amusement parks, I believe it's going to say. Resorts. Oxford Lake will be one of the most best resorts in Alabama. The Anniston Electric and Gas Company has granted a 5-cent rate from Anniston to Oxford on the electric cars, and the new rate will be put into effect on May 1st. And all the water has been drawn from the lake. They drained the lake. They've drained the lake several times in my lifetime for various reasons. The last time was a big drain. They dredged it out some, and it filled in. But it says for the purpose of making it deeper and getting rid of the moss. Well, the things in 2024, the thing's getting full of moss again. It's about time to get rid of the moss. And arrangements have been made with the United States government to stock the lake with bass. And the lake is stocked with bass today, so they say. And so the water and catfish. And it's got a lot of carp in there too. You can catch carp if you know how to do it. Among the improvements will be a sand beach. I have no idea about that. For bathing and there's never been swimming in a lake in my lifetime. And bathing, I jumped in there one time and I come back out and I got bit by an ant. Never did that again. And a beach for bathing for children, a roller coaster, miniature railroad. There's always some kind of railroad down there. A larger number of boats, and an excellent vaudeville and picture shows. Yes, sir, vaudeville and picture shows. They had those there, and they always had some kind of boats where you could rent out a boat and ride around the lake with your sweetheart. This is before my time, but they had a boathouse down there, and you could get a boat and ride around like you see in the old movies. Get on the back side of the lake, where it's dark with a girl, and nothing untoward happened. But at any rate, you just ride around the lake in the rowboat, do the rowboat thing. And they had Ferris wheel and merry-go-round and go-kart racing and all kind of stuff in my time. But this was 1915. Some of the stuff like the merry-go-round may have been when it came along. And when Oxford was sort of taking Oxford Lake down to reinvent it many years ago, they just gave the merry-go-round away basically. Never figured that one out. It was a classic, antique, but Oxford Lake is better for it, I guess. All right, so on we go. This is just briefly. This is a picture from November 28th, 1915, and this is a picture of Oxford Lake, and they're looking at the island. View of Oxford Lake and Park, a Calhoun County pleasure resort. Nobody thinks I was a pleasure resort today, so you see I was a big thing.
Hello history buddies, this is Mr. Old Timer. Well, we're looking at the island at Oxford Lake, version 2024. If you stuck with me this far, well, stick with me some more by going to my page and subscribing. We've got one more video coming up, so I'll see you there.